Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and this is part 3 to my review on comics that came out on July 14th, 2021. All these comics came out this week. First off, I like to say I was informed that my comics this week, due to the weather, won't be dropped until Wednesday. Normally I would be able to pick up DC on Tuesday, but I mean, it has been storming pretty badly here. Most everywhere in the south it has. This is our hurricane season, so it's pretty normal. I'm hoping my box is set up correctly because I have some number ones that are coming out, not DC, well, a couple DCs, Superman and the Authority, a couple other books I'm looking interested into. But so let's get into it. First up, I got Wonder Woman number 775, Graveyard of the Gods. This is part 6 of an ongoing new story from Wonder Woman. First off, DC's art, I mean, it's great. Every book that's in the stack, and this is predominantly DC. I do have one other title in this book for people that aren't DC fans. Shame on y'all are missing out, man. DC's killing it. I mean, any pick up any book. I have all of them are good right now. We're still following the journey. Wonder Woman, Deadman, and I think his name is Rorschach, the squirrel rat type guy. They are in the graveyard of the Olympian gods right now, and they are seeking the Gravekeeper, I think his name is. They run into one of the workers of the dead graveyard in the Olympian. He kind of tells them that, you know, they shouldn't be there. Oh, and it's not the Gravekeeper, it's the Keeper of the Grounds, which I think he's over here in this corner. He looks pretty cool. He looks like one of those, you know, early, I want to say like 1700 medics. But it's not a mask and stuff. It is his face. But they basically, they're trying to get all the Olympian gods to be resurrected. That Janice, the kind of evil version of Wonder Woman, let's just, in a nutshell, that's what she is. They do show her here in the opening scene and some of her coolness. She has this blade. It's called like the God Scraper, and she's able to cut through basically like universes, multiverses. But she, I mean, if she cuts you, and she could basically cut you out of all known reality. Like if she was able to cut Wonder Woman, like we just forget about her kind of thing. Like 80 years of Wonder Woman just disappeared, which is kind of a crazy concept. One day this comic would just vanish, like a Back to the Future type thing. Like, I wish I had editing. I could like make it disappear. Like, I can't do that yet. So she's talking to the Keeper of the Grounds, and basically telling, you know, she tries to fight the guy at first, and he laughs. You know, I mean, this is a guy that is holding gods, you know, dead gods at bay in the cemetery. So I mean, it's kind of trivial and stuff. And so she suggests like a trial of the wits type thing. And he sets up, like, I mean, he's all for it because he's kind of lonely. I mean, he is the keeper of the dead. So he sets her on like this three riddle challenge. Without hesitation, she gets all 3 of them correct. There is like a moment where like Radass and Deadman try to, they don't like try and help her. They're just, it's a fun challenge, and they kind of like oh, I know. And he does get mad, and he shows off that he does have magic and stuff, and he prevents them from being included in the challenge. Like I mentioned before, she does end up winning, and there is a catch. Just like in Greek myth, there is a price to pay, you know, the coin that needs to be paid to carry on. So her price is she has to choose one of the Greek gods to leave behind so all the other ones can be resurrected, and she chooses the Greek, I don't remember him being a Greek god, but let's just say Greek personification of chaos. I know that, you know, when Pandora's box was released, but they show like all the Greek gods releasing right here, and they do kind of go into detail about the decision that she made, and I think it's going to affect the ongoing DC mythos, because now chaos is trapped forever. So I don't think we'll be seeing chaos anytime soon. We do get like at first it's not a pleasant scene because of course they're attacking the other version of Janice here, which is right here, and because he's kind of the cause of all this. But Janice it's like a two persona thing, like a yin and yang, and he is the past, and the bad version that split off is the future. So he can only see the past, he only knows about the past, and I mean, he's kind of awkward to talk to, but basically they're accusing him for everything. Wonder Woman shows up and like, nah, she gets a grand in minutes with Zeus, and quickly, not only is Wonder Woman allowed to go after Janice, but she kind of like qualms all the other gods about killing the good Janice. Janice number 1, I guess you can say. Janice number 2 is the bad one. Basically they kind of give her a hint on where to go, and so did the groundskeeper. And they kind of warn her that the area is guarded by satires. They do have this moment that the same person that made the God Forge, he kind of makes a comment about her new lasso, and it is like a neon colored pink, and I'm trying to see the exact scene. I could have swore it was here. It is. It's right here, and he kind of like makes this hesitation. He kind of makes a comment about like, hey, it's cool, like different lasso you have, you know. He makes a comment about like, be careful because these god weapons have like a mind of their own. So I think it's kind of a hint at what's coming with her new lasso, because it is not the lasso of truth. We do see her here, meeting one of the satires, and of course it's not the greatest of situations, that Wonder Woman wants to walk into, and so she quickly beats the hell out of this guy. And he mentions, hey, whatever you do, don't throw me down the well, you can beat me up, and she figures out that's where she needs to go. She even makes a comment, the avoided places seem to be all the places on her journey. She does go through, and I'm going to have to flip it over, but next up we are going into Elfheim, and I don't know DC's like elf version, or even if this has ever been touched on, but this was like this, and it's kind of cool. She's coming out of the well. As she you might not have been able to see, but she is in a new costume because she's in this new world. So that I can say I'm really excited to see, especially because I don't know if DC's ever touched on like a world that's just elves, kind of like a Lords of the Ring type thing. So the second story is a continuing young Diana story that's been going on, and I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of backstory, but this girl has been kind of temporarily taken over by some cursed magic scrolls that Diana found in a cave. Basically, it's an ensuing battle with all the Amazons at hand. It's like a couple close. It's Diana's mom, Hepaliah, I think her name is, and Helena, and a couple other ones. They quickly do disperse. Diana does. She ends up like throwing a sword, and she ends up breaking the spell that was that took over her. It's like one of her teachers. But she's kind of warned to make sure she guards these scrolls, that they were meant to be hidden for a reason. The queen thinks it's some kind of like upcoming attack, and they kind of keep a secret that they know that it was the scrolls that possessed that girl. And Hepaliah is all like, oh no, it's a magical attack, it's coming, we got to get ready. And basically it's just kind of showing more of young Diana, taking more of the Amazonian warrior princess charge that we know of, because in the beginning of the story it's kind of like young Diana was still like frail and timid and nervous, and little by little it's starting to show her go in that brave and heroic direction. Next up we got Rorschach number 10, and this was a really great read, man. Tom Taylor, I can't wait to get this just to read it all the way through, but it's kind of hard to go into too much of a detail, because some of it's really confusing, like the Frank Miller part, because if you notice that's Frank Miller right here, and it's the real like writer Frank Miller. They do have real characters that are woven into this mythos that is the new ongoing like Watchmen mythos, but we're basically following the same detective, and he's involved with somebody from Turley's party, and Turley is like the the senator that was about to get assassinated in the beginning of the story by the new version of Rorschach and this girl, let's just call her the cowgirl for now. I'm just going to show you just random art because I'm just going to briefly go through the story, but basically in a nutshell it's this whole like his police investigation, like right here, you know, he's just kind of summing up, you know, his whole investigation, and basically how it shows that Robert Redford, the president, was kind of tied to Rorschach and the cowgirl, and that he might have been, you know, a part of the whole assassination attempt, maybe even going as far as like getting the backstage passes. This guy has found like definite proof of tapes and client, you know, and basically, I mean, that's all it was him reporting to this agent that works for Turley. At the end of it, there is like kind of like a kind of moment, just that, I don't know, it just seems that the detective guy is kind of watching the Turley guy, or I don't know where that's going per se. Maybe he's working for Rorschach. We don't know that part of the story yet, so I can't really call it a spoiler. I mention this a lot, but I guess I should do it every video. I'm not spoilers don't bother me, and I'm doing full reviews on books. So I mean, if you're reading a book or you want to read a book, you know, pause, skip ahead. I put time codes down below, you know, so you can skip. If these are books that you've, you know, no interest in picking up, you know, that's why I'm doing this, you know, or if you've read the book, I want to hear your, you know, interpretation. Maybe I missed something, you know. I mean, I do like this last book. I'll get into that. Next up, another great read from DC, Justice League's Last Ride, #3 from Zdarsky. Chip Zdarsky, and I mean, so far it's just a fun ride. It's just they've got Lobo. They're trying to take Lobo on trial for some reason, and they're trying to keep Lobo up until the trial date. Basically, it's like that they have found out where to keep him until the trial happens, and that is Apocalypse. And for some reason, Darkseid and all his crew isn't there at the moment. You know, most of these are continuing stories. You know, in my past review weeks, you know, I've reviewed these. So if you're first time and you want to know what happened in part 1 and 2, go back to my previous videos. I pick up stuff every week. So okay, back to it. So it's just basically Justice landing. You know, they're landing on Apocalypse. Batman comes to this deal. You know, they can't really like leave him in the ship, and Batman kind of goes into like, I mean, this is Apocalypse, and they kind of take him to Desaad's like down here in the bottom. They take him to Desaad's like torture, like chamber, dungeon place. I don't know. But basically, it's a place that they can keep Lobo, you know, detained. They kind of have this cool campfire, you know, moment to mock the cover right here with Darkseid in the background. And very beginning in this episode, in this issue, they kind of go into details with Kilowog and the Green Lantern. That he's getting reports from the other Green Lanterns that you know, basically everybody knows that they have Lobo. And either they want to kill Lobo, or you know, they want him to go to trial and stand up for justice for all the evil deeds that he's done over the years. Lobo, if you don't know who Lobo is, I mean, he has been a good guy, bad guy. He's like an anti-hero, kind of like Deadpool. Most people are more familiarized with Deadpool, but he's one of those type of guys, and he has done a lot of bad. You know, I mean, he kills guys. And we're talking about somebody at Superman level strength, you know. That's why they're having a hard time detaining him, because he has a lot of powers. We go into more of the campfire stuff, and basically at this time they're finding out that basically it's, you know, that Apocalypse and some other stuff might show up, but not only that, but now it's like the whole universe is after Lobo, and again it's like Justice League and against the universe. Batman makes this comment because he's all of a sudden start dreaming. It looks like Martian Manhunter is trying to send him a warning about what's coming, and it's the same thing I just mentioned about everything that's after them. We do get this scene with like right here with Superman. He kind of stays behind because Batman, after he explains that he had this dream, he kind of brings up this plan on what they're going to do. Superman kind of hangs behind, and they're having this. Well, Lobo's having this conversation with Superman, and he's kind of like getting under his skin, but in the right way. Like Lobo knows something a little more than he's letting on. It gets to the point where like, you know, Clark has to reach out to Lois because he needs, you know, Lobo got to him that bad. We are starting to see like some of the other ships, like right here in this panel, and Green Lantern or Wonder Woman, they're out in space around Apocalypse to meet oncoming threats while everybody else kind of gets ready on the planet, like Batman, Flash, Superman. They do show Wonder Woman and Green Lantern like getting ready here for whatever is coming. But I mean, if you can't tell by the cover, I mean, it's going to be a whole bunch of small stuff leading up to Big Boy. But a great read, great art. It was that book so far is so fun. All right, we got The Lot #1 by Bad Idea, first printing. Good and bad. Quality of the paper, super amazing. The art, I want to say it was like, at times it was like super A+, and there's some other times I felt like they just took some lazy, because there are some pages and some panels that are really confusing. In a nutshell, basically, this is a, you know, everybody says she's an actress. She's not an actress. In the story, she becomes CEO of a Hollywood like movie lot, like a studio or something like that. They kind of go into like her story and who she is, and of course, you know, it's about a woman, and she's been working alongside men, being put down by men. You know, they even kind of show this panel about like when she was being hired, right here at the bottom, where she's being hired for the CEO position, and this guy is being looked at like he's the next candidate, but he has nothing under his qualifications. And then her, you know, she's got nothing but, you know, went to Yale and you know, went to this school and had like so many movies under her belt, and yet, you know, she's the lesser of the candidates. Ironically, she does end up getting the job versus the other guy. The guy gets up getting mad, you know, makes a man statement and walks off. A lot of the book is I mean, it's written by a woman, so a lot of it has that female, you know, empowerment. It needs to be there. It's happened for so long. I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I as a man feel bad for it. Most of my favorite people in the world and most of the people I look up to are women. Man, right now, Jolie Jones, if you don't know who she is, man, right now she is killing it, writing and art. I would just say that much. But basically, she becomes CEO of this lot. They grant her access to all this different kind of stuff, and in the process, she ends up finding this lot that's on the studio property. These are just, it is a black and white comic. I failed to mention that, but not completely black and white. This story is black and white, but there's 2 stories in the book. So she does end up going to the lot. She finds out there's like, it hasn't been touched in like 40 years or something like that. It's been locked up. She does go in there and find out it's like movie gold or something like that. So she gets a little crew, and they're kind of showing you right here. They're cleaning it up and stuff like that, and getting it ready for like investments, you know, investors and people to look at what she has uncovered. I will say right here, this was one of the more confusing scenes. It has some of the better art on the panels, but the actual bubbles kind of make no sense, because this guy, I mean, from the art, he walks up and he's all like, "Who the hell are you?" And you know, over here it's like, "Oh!" But when you read these like 4 panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, they just don't make sense. Like one of the panels is missing from because, I mean, maybe I'll let you like freeze frame right there, you know, and just read those little 4 panels. And I mean, honestly, this guy walks up and he's like, "I know you think you're hot shit right now, sugar." And this girl's like, "Gordon?" And he's like, "You like money, right?" And she's like, "I'm making you lots." The lot. "Everything I found in files you gave me access to." And the next thing he's like, "Yeah, we'll be in touch, baby." And she's like, "Cool." I mean, what I'm talking about is he came up like slamming her and talking about like, and then all of a sudden the next thing it's like, "Hey, we'll be in touch." I mean, that's all that was said. "I'm making you lots," and that was cool enough for him. I don't know. Anyways, so we go forward. and we start to see why the lot is like so specific and kind of more into the front cover. But we have this guy, and yeah, I forget, he's like a they call him a gripper, you know, on a studio. But eventually he like has this like psych breakdown, and he ends up cutting himself open and feeding himself to some unknown shadow. I feel like this is a missed opportunity in the comic, because there is parts of the book, and we're going to get there, but they do show monsters and kind of crazy stuff. So I mean, I feel like it was a missed opportunity in that area. But they left it up to our imagination. Nothing wrong there. They go forward, and they kind of get more into the uncovery that the lot was like. It's more like it was like they tried doing some crazy stuff on the lot, and it like some satanic rituals. They were trying to like go ultra D-rated film stuff, but they were trying to do stuff that had never been done before, and in the process they like might have unleashed hell. And so basically that company had locked up that building to make sure the hell stayed in there or whatever. And now that this lady has opened back up, guess what? It's all hell season, bro, blue. You know, so basically, you know, through her investigation of the store, we're starting to see more of like the ghostly stuff. She enters his house during the investigation, going through files and like linking back to the lot. And this is what I'm talking about, like right here, man, they killed it on me right here. Like this demon looking guy that ends up being in this house that she goes into, and she ends up saving this guy. And all this is just an investigation trying to find out more about the lot. And she goes to this house, and when she goes into the house, just like it was, I mean, this thing is just in there. It's not really explained, but it looks like a ritual was happening or something like that. But to her, she doesn't know what's going on. She ends up saving the guy, and the guy really actually kind of gives most of the story in this one page here. And he also tells her, because she like used a special key to unlock and they show it on the front cover here, but it was a skeleton key, and because she used that key versus others, it's like extra evil stuff. And supposedly in this last panel here is supposed to be the most evilest panel on the page, because it's showing all the evil that's being released in the world. See how many times I said evil? Woo! No, okay. Just joking. They do show a nice kind of pin-up for the second issue. The second story is called The Reverse Art Thief, and both of them were really good reads. I'm not going to say it was a really good story. Up at the first couple pages are really confusing. Once you get past all that, you figure out what it's really going on. It was a really good read. The second story was actually a really good read, because all it was about this guy explaining how, like, you know, that the art of thievery is a physical art versus like compared to some other things that are just natural born gifts like art. You know, we have people in life that can draw, we have people in life that can't. You know, it's kind of seen as like you were kind of born with that gift. Now you can fine tune the gift, but I mean, it's kind of like seeing. Some people can't, some people can. And it's basically like the whole sum up of the story. And they just kind of go into like, you know, he explains how, you know, there's certain aspects of, you know, thievery, and to be a good thief, it needs time and patience and you know, information and backlogging. And they just kind of show, it's this story about this art thief, and it's one of the, it turns out, you know, when you're reading and you get to the last page, it's a true story, just taken kind of out of context, but it's about stolen art during World War II that the Nazis, and if you know anything about that war, I mean, Nazis were hoarding art from all over. They don't really go into whose art this was or detail. They do show the piece right here, so if anybody knows about art, it's that piece right there. It could be the real, you know, art, I don't know, because they don't really go into specifics. It just says on the last page that it says Resurrection, parentheses, graves by Egon Chevet. 1913, missing since 1943, and it says still missing to this day. You know, and in the comic, you know, he retrieves it for this lady, because that's what the thief is doing. He's actually breaking into this criminal's house, stealing this art, and returning it to this person. The second story was just as good. I mean, so far everything I've read, from Bad Idea, and hopefully they are continuing forward, maybe with a different LP. I don't know, but everything they've just. I mean, they haven't produced a whole lot. What is it, like 5, or 6 comics right now, 7 maybe. They haven't done a whole lot, but everything they have done has been really good. And Tankers, ENIAC, I'm drawing a line to Wellsville, that one, but everything I've read from Bad Idea so far has been really good. Okay, well that's my review. You know, if you read any of these, tell me, you know, what you thought. If you didn't, you know, did you like the art? You know, if you didn't read any of these, even if you don't read comics, you know, going off the art or some of the story explanation, would this be something that you would be interested in buying as a comic or maybe seeing as a Netflix things? You know, come at me with different comment options. You know, I like to talk. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Please, if you are new to my channel, I drop videos all the time. I have another one coming. I'm going to do a plastic review. Like I said, my comics will be late. So you'll still be getting videos from me, just not new comic book days until Wednesday or Thursday, depending on weather. I don't know. I love each and every one of y'all. I want to say a very last big shout out to Johnny Funko. He has just made me like an intro. I haven't had the time to figure out how to splice it with my videos yet, but I did add it to my Instagram, and it blew my mind. I love it so far. I mean, not so far. I love it. Thank you so much, Johnny Funko. I'll put a link in the description to his channel. That's all I got. Y'all have a great one. I'll see y'all soon. Evil out.